I was going through a lot. I started getting rejections from Unis. And I remember being so sad about that rejection because I was thinking, okay, this is getting too much. Why am I not getting anything positive? Unfortunately, they were all conditional offers. So both of them wanted IELTS. And I honestly wasn't ready to do IELTS. Like I said, I really wanted to get out of the country as soon as I could. So this is where I really fought for this offer. I went on their website and I just was searching for loopholes. I was reading a lot. I was just looking for something else that I could give them because I felt like I had come so close and I was about to lose everything. They were like the only two offers I got. The other that changed my life came. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. This is the offer that changed my life. University of Bristol sent in their offer. Guys, taught me that sometimes things just don't happen for you. You have to push for them. You have to put in the effort. You have to ask questions and find ways to make things work. So more than a year later, after everything that I have been through, gone to the university, done with that, I'm still in the UK now on my post-study visa. It feels like such a proud moment because I am here now because that Zainab did not give up, because that Zainab still pushed through, even though she was doubting herself, even though she was anxious and worried that what she was doing was rubbish, but she still took a chance on herself. She was like, what is the worst that could happen? And I think that's like the mentality we should all have. So I applied to almost 15 universities, fully convinced I wouldn't get into any of them because I was basically rejected by most of them. But somehow, with all the rejections, fear, and self doubt, and 13 applications later, I made it. This is basically the story of how I ended up at University of Bristol, how I did everything myself, doubted myself every step of the way, and somehow still made it here. More than a year later, I am now fully a University of Bristol graduate, a whole UOB alumni. So if you're thinking of applying to University of Bristol or just struggling with your application process, which I know can be very hectic, or just trying to figure out your next step in life, as someone who has been through that phase and process, I would be sharing my story with you from setbacks and unexpected wins. I hope my story helps you feel less alone. So, little background about me. I did my bachelor's in India. I did not do it here in the UK. And I did my bachelor's in cardiovascular technology. So, after I was done with my bachelor's, I had to leave India. I left India in February 2023. So, during that time, as I was leaving, there was a lot of worry and anxiety about what my next step was because I spent almost 5 years in India. And I just kept thinking about how I was going to navigate going back to Nigeria, knowing that my course is not really popular. So it's going to be, the job market in Nigeria is already difficult. So it's going to be extremely difficult to really convince employers to hire me. Whenever I tell someone about my course, whether they're someone in the medical field, especially if it's someone in Nigeria, even outside Nigeria, my course I think is very like niche. Not anyone knows about it, and I have to like explain it to them so much, and they're just like, "Oh, okay." So there was just a lot of worry, and then the idea of going for a master's came up. So yeah, I think 2 months or 3 months before I left India, I tried to start the application process for checking for masters in the UK. But because I was busy with school, my dad had someone looking for universities for me in the UK, so I wasn't really bothered about it. All the anxiety I had was how I was just going to like go back to Nigeria, settle in. It was just a weird phase, you know, when you're used to a certain environment for a long time and you don't know what you want to do next. You don't know whether you're going to get the master's. Another issue was worrying about what specific course I wanted to do the master's in. It was just a very like overwhelming and anxiety filled time that I was in as I was leaving India. So after I arrived in Nigeria, I was in Nigeria for like some time. My dad had someone, like I said, trying to find universities and applying for me. And I was just enjoying like getting back home, seeing family and friends. I was happy, dilly dally. And the plan was to be in Nigeria for like 1 to 2 months and then leave for the UK. That was like the whole plan in the beginning. Stay in Nigeria for like 1 to 3 months. And after I get a uni and the application is sorted, I can maybe come to the UK and stay for like 3 months or 4 months before my course starts. That was the whole plan. Keep that in mind. Tell me why, I don't know, things just started going wrong. A whole lot of problems. First of all the person who was applying through my dad, he just kept getting rejections. He just kept telling my dad, and my dad was telling me that, oh, this uni rejected, this uni didn't approve my application. And before I wasn't worried about it, honestly, because I was just praying about it. But then as time went on and as months passed by, I had already passed like the 3 to 4 months mark in Nigeria. because I was even planning on doing 4 to 5 months, and I was getting rejections. Like there wasn't any positive sign that I was going to leave, and I did not plan on staying in Nigeria. It would have been fine if my plan was to stay back. So as I was seeing that everything was not looking so good, I started getting worried. I started being very anxious, honestly. And I think the last straw for me was the last rejection I got from the person applying through my dad. The rejection came in on like June 2nd. That was my birthday month. And I remember being so sad about that rejection because I was thinking, okay, this is getting too much. Why am I not getting anything positive? And I've been in this country for almost 4 to 5 months. So I just felt like if I'm not careful, then maybe I would have to stay back, and then it would have to be another whole thing that I did not prepare for. Maybe I might not go for the masters. Maybe I would have to wait till like next year or something. I just did not want to take that chance. And I was like, okay, Zainab, I think I need to take action on my own. So that was when I started doing research about universities to apply for. Guys, Google and YouTube was basically my best friend. I was always on my computer and on YouTube just learning about the whole application process for master's programs. After I did my research, I started applying on my own, no agents, nothing, like just with all the information I had acquired and learned online. Guys, I prayed so much like during this period. I'm someone who generally just prays a lot, but like with this specific thing, I was just praying to yeah Allah so much, so much. Please help me. I also wrote my personal statement on my own, and I was so worried about it. I kept thinking like, was this good enough? Because I didn't really send it to anyone. There was a personal statement that I wrote in India, and I had someone who like helped me with it, but then I did not use that personal statement because the person that helped me with it like edited it a lot, and I just felt like it wasn't me. I think that was really stubborn of me. But then I wrote another new personal statement for these applications, and guys, I was just like really worried. You know, that self doubt. You're like, I'm like, is this personal statement good enough? Are they going to pick me based on this personal statement? Stuff like that. Regardless, after I wrote my personal statement, I can clearly remember the date. It was on 9th June 2023. I sat down with my Lenovo laptop in our house, and I made a list of I think 12 to 13 universities. I was ranking them based on like which universities had the highest ranking from the best to the lowest, because I didn't tell anyone I was doing this, guys. And I wanted, when I told my dad and I presented a uni to him, at least he would agree to it because he would say that the university is a good uni. But one thing about it was I was also doubting myself in the sense that because I had never done this whole application process, and previously it was other people that were doing it for me, I just kept thinking, oh my God, like with this whole thing that I'm doing, maybe I'm not going to get it. I'm doing it on my own. I'm most likely making mistakes. And there was something about me. I was really thinking in my head that I was not going to get into any of the top unis. I can clearly remember that day. I was talking to myself. I'm like, oh my God, if I get into even these lower ranked unis, self esteem has nothing on me. I'm going to be so proud of myself. And another issue I had is I was also worried about whether I was going to do my master's in anything related to cardiology, which was what I did my bachelor's in, or if I wanted to diversify and do my master's in public health. At that moment, I decided to first of all apply to unis under public health. I also made this little draft where, after I made a list of those universities, I checked like their Times rating and QS rating, Times higher education ratings, and I was writing their numbers, and then I was canceling it and I was ranking it on my own. So basically, my own ranking list based on the universities that I had chosen, and I was highlighting them green and red. So whichever one I had, let's say, applied to, I would highlight it green, and if I hadn't applied, I would highlight it red. It was a whole process I had. Oh my God. Looking back, the fact that I actually sat down to make a little note of those things, it showed how dedicated I was. It took me almost a week, I guess, to finish applying to all those unis. Oh my God, guys, another problem was I remember during that whole process, there was another anxiety because other universities that I was checking, their deadline was approaching, or like their deadline for applications had closed. So I felt like I was also on a time crunch because I was looking for universities that also did not have any application fees. I also wanted to apply. Oh my God, I was also checking for universities like in Canada and US. But those unis, I think their process was a bit more complicated, and I was looking for something to just make me feel like I was making progress. And unis in the UK just felt more straightforward. For some unis, there wasn't like any application fees. So that was good for me. So yeah, after I was done, I was just praying so much, and all in my head, like I said previously, I really thought that I wasn't going to get into the top unis. It's just how our brain tends to like self sabotage, because I'm so proud of myself. Because the negativity that was in my brain all through that process, if I had gone with that, I really wouldn't have applied to any uni. My thought process then was, at least maybe just hopefully I get into maybe the last three or last four or five. Hopefully, I just went with the flow. I was like, okay, what's the worst that could happen? Let me just still apply. And then after the application, the rejection started coming in. This was really like heartbreaking and disheartening, guys. I was going through a lot. I started getting rejections from unis. So, guys, my first offer was from University of Sheffield. After all the rejections kept coming in, the other offers I got was from University of Edinburgh, University of Derby, and University of East London. I think those are the offers I got. Guys, I remember being so happy when University of Sheffield sent me an offer because they were number 4 on my list. I was so happy. I was like, "Oh my god, number 4 on my list." And I wasn't expecting it. Genuinely, I was so happy. I was so proud of myself because I was thinking like I did that on my own. Like I applied and they sent me an offer. Oh my god. I was so happy. Immediately after Sheffield, Edinburgh sent their offer, and I was also so happy. I was so stoked because Edinburgh was the first on my list. Because look at it, you guys, look at what like my thought process. I thought I was going to get into the last three, and then think about how the first on my list sent me an offer, and then the fourth on my list. I was so happy. But unfortunately, they were all conditional offers. So both of them wanted IELTS, and I honestly wasn't ready to do IELTS. Like I said, I really wanted to get out of the country as soon as I could. So deciding to do IELTS, I was going to have to spend a whole year in Nigeria and prepare. I wasn't like my brain, I was not ready to study about anything. No, I please. But I was really sad about it because I was like, okay, I've gotten these offers. They don't want my WAEC. They don't want all the certificates I give them. Imagine like the phase I was in, that uncertainty, that getting all those rejections. And then finally, when I get offers, I'm not able to go because I don't have what they need. And I'm not sure whether I'm going to get any other offers. I feel so bad for myself because I remember that phase. I was really not in a good place. I was always worried, always checking my mails. I checked my mails like immediately I woke up. Like that phase was so scary because I felt like I had come so close and I was about to lose everything. They were like the only two offers I got. The other two universities hadn't sent their offer then. So moving on, the offer that changed my life came. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. This is the offer that changed my life. University of Bristol sent in their offer. Guys, oh my god, like you don't understand. I was so happy. Like I remember I was crying, I was jumping like UOB sent their offer and my UOB, my baby. Sorry. Okay, you'll be sent in their offer. Their offer came in on the 27th of June 2023. So, first of all, a lot of things to talk about here. First of all, happiness, excitement, pride. I was so proud of myself because they were second on my list after Edinburgh. Unfortunately, they also did not accept. It was not actually only my English certificate. They had something else they wanted me to send. I had already sent it. I don't know why they asked for it again, but I sent it. And then came the drama of them wanting me to provide an English certificate. But the good thing for them is they gave me a list. They did not only want IELTS, so they were like, you could give us this, or this. I checked my WAEC. My WAEC, I got like C something, and they wanted B for English in your WAEC, so I could not give them that. Guys, I feel like this is where I really fought for this offer. I went on their website and I just was searching for loopholes. I was reading a lot. I was just looking for something else that I could give them apart from IELTS. So, and then I found, let's call it a loophole that they did not send to me. So this is something that I found on their website. It's not something that they told me. And apparently, if you studied in an English, there was just like, it was just different things that I, so it's like different sections that I jumbled together and made a whole thing in the sense that, so if you studied, I think, high school in an English speaking country, there was also something about if you lived in an English speaking country. Another thing was if you studied in an, I think they were very good and detailed about it. Like there were just so many options. I can't really clearly remember, but then the last one was, even if you're in a uni that's not in an English speaking country, but if you were taught in English in that uni, if you can provide an English proficiency certificate, then they can consider. So I took that as like motivation. I'm like, okay, Zainab, first of all, Nigeria English speaking, you did your high school in Nigeria. You've been here all your life. I lived in Nigeria majority of my life. I'm like, and you studied in India for just 5 years. So basically, I have a good command of English. My high school was in a very good secondary school. And then I was taught in English in India. And the good thing is, I had already collected my English proficiency certificate before leaving India. So I was like, okay, I was ready for war. So it's like I just mixed and matched a lot of things that I could find from different parts of their website and saw how they applied to me. And then, guys, I started sending them mails. I went on their website. Even, I know this is not good, but like I went on their international student something. I sent them mails. I tried to call them. I went on their Q&A website. I sent stuff. I just sent. I was like, okay, this in your website. I saw this, and I have this. This applies to me, and I have sent in my English proficiency certificate. A whole lot of things. So after I had sent them mails and everything, I knew that I had done my best. I just started praying. I couldn't even bear the thought of losing that opportunity because all the other unis have basically rejected me, except few that I have not heard back from, and some till today I actually haven't even heard back from them. And by that time, most of the unis have closed their applications, so I couldn't even send any new applications. Guys, I prayed so much during that time, and they were like, "Why am I bringing up my phone?" I just saw in and they were like, offer, unconditional offer. I started shouting. I'm always shouting. I was so happy because it's like they never got back to my mails. They never replied and were like, oh, okay, we've heard what you said. We're going to take it into consideration. They never replied. That actually added to my anxiety, that waiting phase. And they just sent me an unconditional offer. I was so happy. I was so happy. Like happiness is an understatement because an unconditional offer. So all that stress has paid, like all that effort I put in, and I did this all myself. I got this all myself. Oh my God. I remember I called my dad, I called my mom, I told everyone about it. Everyone was happy and excited. My dad was so proud. But yeah, I remember I just kept shouting, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. And that whole experience of just waiting and applying, it really taught me a lot of things about myself. It just taught me that sometimes things just don't happen for you. You have to push for them, you have to put in the effort, you have to ask questions and find ways to make things work. So you actually have to fight for whatever it is that you wanted. Because imagine if you will be after they sent that, I was like, okay, because all that list that they sent to me, I didn't have those things. So imagine if I was just like, oh, okay, this is the same thing with Edinburgh and Sheffield. I'm not going to send them those mails or like do extra research about it. I'm just going to give up. Do you know the funny thing? After UOB sent their unconditional offer, I think 2 or 3 days later, University of Derby sent in their offer, University of East London. I'm like, guys, please, who cares? I don't need you guys anymore because they were kind of low in my list. So I had UOB. They weren't even an option. I was like, I don't need you guys anymore. I'm not on your level anymore. So after the whole process and saga, the next thing was to pay the deposit fees. After deposit fees, I was supposed to wait for them to send in the CAS. Guys, another thing that added to my anxiety was I was the last batch that UOB sent the CAS to. So even after paying the deposit fees, I remember it did not reflect on my portal for like a day or two. I remember thinking, oh my God, did I do anything wrong? Did anything wrong happen? It was a whole thing. So I had to wait for, I think, almost a month for UOB to send their CAS. And I hate waiting. Why do we have to wait for everything? Like, I just hate that waiting phase because it, especially for someone who overthinks, I keep overthinking, did something go wrong? Are they going to rescind the offer? Fortunately for me, I traveled to Sokoto, so it's like a state in Nigeria. That's where I was born. So traveling just made it better because I was able to focus my time on other things because I had to like go and visit family. We call it Ziara in Hausa. So I had to go and do that. And while I was in Sokoto, I remember I was about to enter my uncle's house. My phone was in my hand and I got an email and I saw CAS. Like they sent in my CAS. I was so happy. But I could not show my excitement then because I was going to see like relatives that I haven't seen for a while. So I had to like keep it in. Keep it in. But then yeah, the CAS came in 31st July. I paid the deposit 17th July. The CAS came in 31st July, which was good. Looking back at it now, like now that I am saying it, it doesn't actually seem like it took so much time. But in my head then, I swear I felt like it took like 3 years. I don't know. It just felt like such a long time. After I got the CAS, I still spent some time in Sokoto. I left Sokoto 30th of August and I went back to Abuja. I live in Abuja. So when I went back to Abuja, I started the whole process. I did my TB test because there are specific centers where they're only approved for you to do your TB test there. So I couldn't do the TB test in Sokoto. I did my TB test on 5th September. Then came the next challenge after my TB test, applying for the visa. Guys. Once again, I did that all on my own. Guys, I have never applied for any visa on my own. Like all the traveling I've traveled in my life, it's either school that's processing it or like my parents. Even India, when I went to India, I did not know anything visa. I just entered the plane, they gave me my tickets. So I don't know, looking back, what was wrong with me? But Google and YouTube was my bestie still. I did a lot of research, specific documents you need. I was making sure that I was so careful. I even printed and added things that I did not need just in case. But in essence, I did it all on my own. No agent, no professional guidance, just researching every step of the way. I'm always second guessing myself at this point. I think I keep repeating that. If you're at this point of the video, you should know that. But I was second guessing. I'm like, did I, is this correct? Did I make a mistake in the bank statement? Well, it was a whole lot of anxiety. But I think this is a good lesson for anyone. Like, even if you're anxious or worried or scared, still do it anyway. Because think about, I remember the me, it's like I can see myself that is sitting in the diner, being worried and stressing whether I am doing things right. And look at me like more than a year later in the UK, done with my master's. Like, life is so beautiful. Like, just take a chance on yourself. Ah, moving on. I uploaded my visa documents on 10th September. I think it's TLS for Nigeria. After uploading, went in 11th September to do my biometrics. I don't know, for a reason I thought I was going to be interviewed because online people were saying that you're going to be interviewed. I wasn't interviewed, and I think I did pay for Express. I'm not sure, honestly. Now I can't remember because when I'm looking at the dates now, I went in 11th September and I got my visa 15th September. So that looks very quick. I don't think I paid for Express. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't want to explain to you the anxiety I went through from the morning of getting that mail, or is it afternoon? I can't ever remember. To me driving there, I remember writing in my diary, and I'm like, I know I've tried my because like I'm like, what if I don't get it? I was like, I've prayed so much, I've tried my best. I really hope that I get it. I would be so proud of myself because I know I did this whole process on my own. I just kept thinking, like, what if after all this I don't get it? Because if I don't get the visa, I'm not going anywhere. And then I would have to stay one whole year again. Maybe at that point, my dad might even change his mind and be like, oh, just stay in Nigeria, do something else. You get? I was just really worried, honestly. But then, guys, I remember I followed the line. I was watching people were collecting theirs. It comes in this gray envelope. I collected mine and I opened it when I was in the car. And I was like, okay, I don't even know how let me stop taking you on a whole roller coaster ride. But I opened it and I saw the visa. I was like, oh my God, I got it. Like, I really got it. Like, I did it on my own. Like, I really did the whole process, everything. I have the offer, I have the visa, all that's left. Like, I did all that. It just, I forgot how that feeling was, but now saying it more than a year later, after everything that I have been through, gone to the university, done with that. Now, like, it's like I'm still in the UK now on my post study visa. It feels like such a proud moment because I'm here now because that Zainab did not give up, because that Zainab still pushed through, even though she was doubting herself, even though she was anxious and worried that what she was doing was rubbish. But she still took a chance on herself. She was like, what is the worst that could happen? And I think that's like the mentality we should all have. But to cut the whole story short, after seeing my visa, I went to my dad's office. I showed him. He was very happy. At first, when I went, I was like, oh, I didn't get it. He was like, oh, he wanted to start motivating me. I was like, please keep your motivation to yourself. I didn't tell him that, but I was like, I'm joking. I got it. I went back home. I told my mom, I was like, I did not get it. She was like, are you sure, Zainab? She looked so worried. I was like, no, I'm joking. I got it. Everyone was so, so happy. My dad was so proud of me. It's giving big girl. I don't know, like maybe to other people this is not such a big deal, but I think to me it is a big deal because it's not something that I have done before. Anything related to school applications, everyone, there's someone that would do it. And then like me doing it and not just doing it, still doubting myself through the whole process. I think you can guess the whole theme of this video is self-doubt. The point I'm trying to put across is even if you're anxious about something and doubting yourself, still get it done. Put in the efforts. What's the worst that could happen? You never know. A few more things I want to touch on. The other challenges I experienced was accommodation. Guys, Guys, accommodation, if you're in your application process, start looking for accommodation like early. Funny enough, I wasn't looking for accommodation. I wasn't even focused on it. I was just focusing on like the applications. Why is accommodation so expensive and so difficult to find generally in the entire UK? And apparently, Bristol is one of the most expensive cities to live in the UK. I have made videos on my channel talking about like accommodation process, and I have also reviewed my student accommodation in case you're trying to see how the accommodations in Bristol are, as well as just advice on how you can find accommodation in Bristol. So check those videos out. But back to what I was saying, it was really difficult to get accommodation. It was extremely expensive. And then it's like, even if you have the money, you can't get the accommodation. There's some other factors, either like guarantors or in the wrong location. Let me not get into it. That's not the focus of this video. But all I was saying is, even as I left Nigeria, I did not have accommodation. I stayed in a hotel for like a week. And then after that, I got accommodation. The accommodation was very expensive, honestly. It was like £300 per week, a whole lot. But then it was close to uni. The room was an ensuite. It was really nice. I had a very lovely view. When I opened the windows, I could see the boats. Really pretty, but it was expensive. I spent like 2 to 3 months there, and then I moved to the uni's student accommodation. So it was a lot of experience, but back to even before I arrived in the UK. Accommodation was the only main challenge. The flight wasn't really an issue, although I was like stressing about which one did I want to take, whether it was BA or Egypt. I can't even remember which one I took. But yeah, that was that. And then just like that, I was officially going to University of Bristol. Looking back, this entire journey feels so surreal. I went from doubting myself and thinking I wasn't good enough to making it here completely on my own. More than a whole year later, I'm still in the UK, a whole graduate on my post study visa right now. If there's one thing I would tell my past self, I would tell her that she's capable of more than she thinks. And if you're watching this and the process feels ugly and uncertain, it doesn't mean you won't make it. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep going. Know that things have a way of working out even when you don't see it. If you're looking forward to coming to UOB, I have a lot of videos on my channel. I have playlists about UOB and my experience reviewing the uni and the facilities in the uni, as well as just Bristol as a city. My favorite places in Bristol, so make sure to check them out. I hope this video, I know it was chaotic and not so structured, but I hope it helped you one way or the other, or even motivated you to just keep pushing. Just send in one more application, just do one more thing related to that thing you want to achieve, whether it's about your uni or whatever it is. You never know, months later or years later, you could actually be where you want to be. Because now I have done and achieved things apart from just being in the university, opportunities that I never thought I would be able to access, just because past me took a chance and just kept pushing. So just do that for yourself. What's the worst that could happen? If you like this video, once again, don't forget to please subscribe, like, and share the video. And see you next time. Don't forget to check out other videos on my channel. Bye.